Alright folks, buckle up because today we are diving deep into Hungary's love affair with Russia. Let's unravel why Hungary, despite a past that includes Soviet tanks rolling through Budapest, seems to be on a friendlier terms with Russia than a raccoon with a dumpster at midnight. My name is Darek and welcome to the Sands of Time. Hungary just loves its Russian gas, like a frat bro loves cheap beer. Too much to quit. Around 85% of Hungary's natural gas comes from Russia. So while the majority of EU, except of Slovakia of course, at least tries to cut ties with Russia, Orban is panicking over his heating bill. See, they relying so much on Russia's energy export that pulling the plug would basically send their already struggling economy back to the Stone Age. But hey, nothing says independent foreign policy quite as relying on a guy you are supposed to be sanctioning. Yes? It's not like Viktor Orban, Hungary's prime minister, hates the West. It's more like he's going through a rebellious teenager phase. You know, don't tell me what to do attitude. But also he is a bit on the collision course with EU, as under his government, democratic institutions have been severely undermined. The judiciary. In 2019, Orban introduced administrative courts, packed them with loyalists, basically transforming it into a rubber stamp for his government decisions. Media freedom has also taken a nosedive. State control has tightened over the press outlets, refusing licenses for not following the party line, with many independent journalists facing harassment or being just forced out of business. And let's not forget the electoral laws. Orban's government has changed electoral districts to favor his party, Fidesz, while weakening the opposition's chances of gaining any real power. Dissent has been silenced through restrictive laws that stifle protests and criminalize the spread of fake news, which often just means anything that contradicts the government's narrative. Plus, civil society groups critical of the government has faced significant pushback, including funding cuts and legal harassment. This resulted in Hungary's being cut out of EU funding from 2021 onwards. And while the West shakes its head at these anti-democratic practices, Orban is cozying up with Vlad Putin, sharing an anti-Western sentiment and mutual love for consolidating power. Okay, it is historical channel nevertheless, so time for a quick trip back to 1956. Hungary tried to throw off Soviet rule in a bloody uprising. And how did Moscow respond? With tanks, lots of them. The revolution was crushed with about 2,500 Hungarians killed and thousands more imprisoned or exiled. So why on earth would Hungary now be getting all cozy with Russia? That's like befriending the guy who set your house on fire. The truth is, while Hungary hasn't forgotten the revolution, they kind of do not care, as national interests have the way of sweeping historical grudges under the rug. On paper, Hungary's spat with Ukraine is all about minority rights. There is a sizable Hungarian minority in Ukraine, Transcarpathia region, and Orban's government has been shouting from the rooftops about Ukraine's language laws that supposedly limit the rights of the ethnic Hungarians. They've called it a human rights violation, and at every opportunity, Hungary has been dragging its feet on sanctions and military aid for Ukraine. Convenient for Moscow, right? But here is a kicker. This isn't just about minority rights. Sure, Ukraine's been pushing for Ukrainians to take precedence in schools and official settings. But given the history of Russification, it is not hard to see why they want to promote their national language. Russia spent decades stamping out Ukrainian language and culture, so these laws are about undoing that damage. And the real game here? Orban knows his tough tack on defending Hungarian minorities plays well with nationalist voters back home, and let's not forget the strategic side. Every move Hungary makes to delay support for Ukraine, it's a win for Russia. Plain and simple. So, how does Hungary's pro-Russia stance play out in NATO? Awkwardly, to say at least. While Hungary is a NATO member, Orban government often acts like the rebellious kid in the alliance, refusing to cooperate with the rest of the crew. They blocked NATO summits with Ukraine and vetoed EU measures against Russia, pushing some to question if Hungary should to be allowed to still be a part of the alliance. Hungary is essentially playing both sides, enjoying the protection of NATO while also shaking hands with Putin under the table. The official line is that Hungary wants peace, but it's clear they've got other interests, like keeping Russia happy. And that is worrying. Now, what does the Hungarian public think of all this? It is a mixed bag. Many Hungarians know history and remember the Soviet crackdown in 1956. And for them, causing up with Russia is a clear mistake. But Orban's grip on Hungarian media and his nationalist rhetoric have convinced a chunk of the population that being pro-Russian is the way to go. They are fed up with EU telling them what to do and see Russia as a counterbalance to Western liberalism. Still, there is a fair amount of skepticism, especially among younger generations who see Hungary's future as a part of European and not Russian orbit. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Sons of Time. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. That's gonna really help my channel grow. And until next time,